Hello and welcome back to another video. So the S20 Ultra and the iPhone 11 Pro Max are two flagships from two of the largest smartphone manufacturers that were released about 5 months apart. I've gotten to use both extensively over that time, and I wanted to do a 2021 comparison to tell you which option you should buy and how well both have aged. First, we'll talk really quickly about biometrics. The iPhone 11 Pro Max uses Face ID, as we all know, and the S20 Ultra uses Samsung's ultrasonic fingerprint scanner. I find that both unlock about the same speed, but the fingerprint reader is more convenient today. So now into the main categories where I'm going to award points. Starting with design, these two take very different routes. Both have huge camera bumps, but I definitely prefer the camera bump of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. It does look more refined even if it looks like a stove, and the S20 Ultra's camera bump just doesn't look nearly as good as the S21 Ultra's camera bump. Also, if we're talking about the back of the phone, the iPhone 11 Pro Max has the nicer matte finish on the back, whereas the S20 Ultra has a glossy finish, bringing a lot of fingerprints. When you do flip the phones around, however, that is when I believe the S20 Ultra's design is far ahead of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. On the S20 Ultra, we have a minimal hole punch with a great huge display. There are curved edges, which I'm not a fan of, but these are the best curved edges I've seen in a phone because they're really minimal and they don't distort really at all. The iPhone, on the other hand, has the same notch that we've seen since 2017, and it looks like it's probably not going anywhere anytime soon. Because I look at the front of my phone much more often than I look at the back of my phone, I'm giving the design category to the S20 Ultra. Unlike the design category that was pretty highly contested, the display category is an easy win for Samsung off the bat. So with the S20 Ultra, we have an 120Hz 1440p display. And those are two things that the iPhone can't do, even if the S20 Ultra can't do both of them at the same time. In addition, the S20 Ultra's natural mode is actually much better than what I experienced on the S21 Plus. The natural mode does not look washed out at all, and it competes with the best of them. The iPhone still has a good display. Just because I'm giving this to Samsung, I still like the natural looking display. It's pretty high res even if it's not 1440p, and I don't think you could technically go wrong with either. I just think Samsung definitely wins this category. Before we go on to more hardware categories, let's talk software. The iPhone 11 Pro Max is on iOS 14, and iOS 14 is my favorite iOS update in a very long time. It's really smooth as always, and it's brought much needed features. One UI, on the other hand, doesn't need to add any features because of how feature rich it is and has been in the past. Which you prefer is going to be personal preference, but what isn't subjective is the software support. We know that iPhones get at least 4 to 6 years of major software updates. On the other hand, Samsung did guarantee 3 years of major software update versions for the S20 Ultra. I'm giving this category to the iPhone due to the longer software support. It's no secret that Apple has been dominating in the chip making game for a long time now. The A13 Bionic destroys the Snapdragon 865 or Exynos 990 in terms of numbers alone. In real practice, both phones are very fast, but to me, the S20 Ultra is perceived as a little bit faster because of the 120Hz display and because I go into the developer settings and reduce my animations. While gaming, it's nice to see the 120Hz be supported in some games, but I found that to be very few of the ones I've played. Either way, both phones have run the games I play very smoothly, mainly at 60 FPS. So I think either's going to be fine here. It's really hard to pick a winner because the iPhone will probably age a little bit better with its chipset, but the S20 Ultra is still an extremely fast phone. So because of that, I'm going to give this category as a draw. The next two categories are arguably the most important too, at least for many people. The iPhone 11 Pro Max is to this day my battery king. With that said, the S20 Ultra still has excellent battery life with that 5000 mAh battery. I see the biggest difference in standby battery where the iPhone loses a little bit less in that time. In terms of charging speed, you got 18 watts versus 25 watts. So Samsung does win, and it also has fast wireless charging. but because I don't have to charge my iPhone as much, that's never really been an issue for me. And I also like to preserve the battery life of it by charging it slower. So yes, the iPhone does take this category for me, but both have aged pretty well. The 5000 milliamp hour battery is a very large number, and Samsung kind of went even further when they put in a 108 megapixel camera in this device. However, that number didn't translate as well as the battery capacity. I found many issues with the 108 megapixel camera in terms of autofocus and shutter lag. It really disappointed given all the hype around it, but I'm sure you guys know that by now. I was able to get some really nice photos with it when I was taking landscape images, but anything close up just wasn't as reliable as I'd hoped. And the iPhone 11 Pro Max has been extremely reliable, and Apple really improved their camera for this phone. The night images look great on both, which is good to see, but because of the consistency, I'd have to give stills to the iPhone. And video is no contest. The autofocus issues were way worse when it came to video. And the iPhone in general has always been the better video taking smartphone. Because of this, I'm giving this category to the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Before getting into my final verdict, and I won't award a point for this, we're going to talk quickly about price and specs. So the S20 Ultra at base has 128 gigabytes of storage with micro SD card support, whereas the iPhone has 64 gigabytes of storage at base. Now, we won't talk about current prices as much because those are really changing very frequently. However, the S20 Ultra has depreciated much more than the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Starting at $1,400, this thing has lost half of its value in many used markets, and that's why you can actually get it for a good price right now, whereas the iPhone has held its value a little bit more. Alright, now that we have all that, so my final score was 3 points for the iPhone 11 Pro Max, 2 points for the S20 Ultra, and 1 draw. As I always say, my score may not be representative of what you would choose. You could give a certain category to one or the other because they were tightly contested. And of course, our software preference is also going to play a big role. However, for the purpose of this video, the iPhone 11 Pro Max takes the crown, and it's one that I would recommend to most people who don't have a preference of Android or iOS. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and peace.